not. I think what it is that we carry this awareness that the colour of our skin is problematic for other people.
It would have been the same message, but the fact that she's becoming more popular and becoming more of a public figure, all of a sudden the hair starts to become straight.
Look at him. But it's because I'm thinking, this is my path. I'm choosing my path. I can't go. It's tough enough being black without having to justify what kind of black I am.
Organize, sit down, reason and talk.
Welcome to this week's ORT, where we have the tantalizing topic provided by one of our listeners, Farrell Williams, on whether or not we can be comfortable in our own skin. This week's ORT.
Doesn't it? I wasn't sure.
It may not make any difference. Let's give it a go.
Okay. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Well, yeah, I'm goodish.
Well, you're sounding good voice. Oh, goodish. Okay. That sounds a bit mysterious.
I will tell you why. All shall be revealed.
Yes, sir, brother.
Yeah, I'm going to merge you now. 1 second.
I can hear silence. Can you hear me?
Yes,
I can hear you, Sister Ebony.
I hear that
It's
voice.
kindred.
That
It's
brother
kindred.
F by any chance. It's kindred.
Oh, well.
How are you confusing me and Ebony?
Yes, sir.
now?
True.
That's not a good start, brother F. That's not a good start.
I beg pardon, sister. I beg pardon.
All black women sound alike.
You know? Tell him.
What a thing.
So, yes.
Are you good, sister?
I'm good. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm glad. So, everything's all right, my end. Can't complain. So far.
Yeah.
Well, no, not so far. We'll not. Yeah, we won't quantify it. We'll just say everything's good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
So, yes, I have COVID.
Oh, where you go?
Yeah, man.
Stop it.
Yes, man. I don't even know where I get it.
True?
I hardly come out of my house. Yeah. I have it from last week. And
Sure, it's COVID and it's not just flu.
well, when I initially
Everything is COVID.
when I initially got it last week, I was saying, listen, it feels a bit different, but it feels like a cold. But it never even reached the stage of flu. It just have this murmuring, unease, and discomfort. And then I went for a test, and the test came back positive. So,
how are you now, brother?
Huh?
How are you now?
Yeah, well, it's stable. You know, there's pains and it affects your taste and your smell. And last week I was having more kind of feverishness. I don't have that this week, so yeah, it doesn't feel overwhelmingly crippling or anything like that. You know, it just feels irritating. Like it would disturb your sleep and disturb your appetite. But I mean, for somebody, and then I have a phlegm, cough. I can imagine someone who has some predisposition, especially lung issues.
Yeah.
It could be possibly more difficult for them.
Oh,
So
okay.
So yes, man. But I'm good. I'm not even making that swim.
Have you been partaking of a few natural remedies, Brother Kush?
Yeah, man. You know, I'm still on my ginger and everything. Yeah, man. I haven't for the last 2 or 3 days for some reasons. Because one of the things with it as well is it kind of like zaps your energy a bit. But yeah man, I do that as a matter of course. Because to be honest, you have to wonder, you know, the fitness of your body if it's prepared for these kind of things. So I try not to complicate my diet and my immune system for this particular reason. So it's not that people can't get it; it's how your body responds.
Exactly.
Tell me something, brother. Just as a point of curiosity. Would you say, given your experience of having colds and flus, that you could definitely say, I don't know what this thing is, but it's different from them?
Yes.
It's different from colon.
Yes.
It's definitely different?
Yeah, man. Yeah, the body pains are worse. Not worse, they're different, you know? and the kind of migraines, loss of energy, very much like a cold, but it's maintaining that level of consistency in those areas. Whereas with a cold, after about maybe 5-6 days, it starts to shift in some way. But this hasn't. It's remained quite consistent. Yes. So yes, I don't think we're gonna have Evan this tonight.
Okay.
So for this episode of ORT, we'll have our king of one-liners, Brother S.
Greetings, people.
And our eye of analysis, Kindred Spirit.
Greetings, and Ebony, wherever you are, you'll miss.
Yes, indeed.
For real. And I'm Baba Kush-I, host of Aquaba. So, what's been catching your eye since the last time we spoke?
You know, Brother Kush, I am implementing a news whiteout, right?
Oh yeah.
I am making an active attempt to avoid the news as much as I can, because the amount of misinformation that's going on at the moment, the effort of trying to pick sense from nonsense is becoming too great. So I'm shutting down all of it for the time being.
And what topic is that in relation to? COP26, for example, or is it COVID management?
Everything. COVID. I'm over COVID. Okay, no offense to anybody, but I don't want to hear any more about it in terms of the management of it. You know, injection or not injection. I'm completely. There's an embargo. I'm implementing a COVID embargo.
Very
now.
Nice.
Don't talk about it. And so that it's mainly in relation to that, but there just seems to be a lot of distress around at the moment.
Yeah.
In all kinds of ways, a lot of things, and I just think,
yeah.
Sometimes you have to kind of steal yourself off from some of it.
It's not helping the situation, and is it? Well, what's going on for you, Brother S? What's caught your eye?
Well, I suppose we have been flooded and inundated most recently with the COP26 business. What caught my eye was catching as much as I could, because sometimes some bad news and painful news you need to be not in the mood for, but in order to receive it in a way which it doesn't negatively impact your spirit.
Yeah,
the
man.
2 sisters that were murdered
by the right wing,
by the young guy,
Satan worshipper.
Yeah, and when you look at his track record and how they died, and then the police treatment of the request of the family for support in looking for the girls, and the idea in 2021 that due to the lack of police support and presence, the boyfriend of one of the girls went out and found the girl.
Yeah, man.
Right? Now, there's 2 things that goes on there. One, of course, it's disgusting that the police didn't think that 2 black women, or the missing 2 black women, would be an issue that would warrant them to go out there and make a concerted
and do a thorough
effort to
search.
find them. Right? And 2, the information which has been leaked out, trickling out, that some of them that were there when they did find them were taking pictures that they were putting up on social media.
Disgusting.
So it gets from bad to worse, and I'm just kind of thinking about when do we see any kind of light of the treatment of us as people of color, but in this country or in the West, anywhere where the intention is to make us the minority, even though when we look at the world population, that there's no way that we can be classified as minority ethnic. But part of that kind of saturation of misinformation, which then is supposed to create an inferior complex in our race of people, right? We know better. But actually sometimes it's quite effective. So that caught my mind, and of course it was painful for me to kind of listen and observe some of that, like, boy, this stuff's still happening.
Yeah, man.
I'm not surprised that it's still happening, but sometimes I'm just so tired, especially when experiences such as that and examples such as that are met with this, well, it's an isolated incident. When we know in our lived experiences that the hell it is. There's no way that you can make this. This story has been told too many times, and we're tired of it in our community. So that's what caught my eye, and kind of made me feel a bit like,
Yeah. In terms of the root cause, you'd have to eliminate Dr. Francis Cresswell Sling's idea of white genetic survival being rooted in this continuous push of white supremacy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's caught my eye? Judy Love. She lose her afro. Afro gone, boy.
What do you mean?
Well, now that she's kind of so-called climbing the ladder,
Oh, okay. Yes, you have to ditch the kind of trappings, yeah,
man, that's rough to go. And for today's, you don't see that?
No.
Okay.
I didn't watch it. I don't, I'm kind of like, I want to support Judy, but I know the program's rigged, so, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of, left that one behind a while ago.
Yes. Good
Hello.
to go.
Yeah.
You on the line, Kindred?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Yeah. So you know that today's topic is why can't we be more comfortable in our own skin? And this
You're fading out a bit, Kush.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
You can hear me?
Then. What was the topic?
Why can't we be more comfortable in our own skin? And it was a question from one of the listeners, Pharrell Williams. But before we do that, we have our quiz. And
it's been a while for the quiz, hasn't it?
You know. And I know I'm with some of the sharpest minds when it comes on to matters related to melanated people. So, people, are you ready? No, let's go for it.
I feel we're being set up here, brother.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Let's see.
You see? That this double plotting and double thinking that's on the news that you're avoiding, it's still seeping into you somehow, you see. Suspicions have found their way through. Okay.
Like it.
The word jerk in jerk chicken originates from the drum pans used to make...
Ooh, Kush.
Oh, you're breaking up again. Bad line.
Can you hear me now?
Not clear, yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, stay where you are. Yeah, wherever you are, stay there.
My apologies. The word jerk in jerk chicken originates from the sound of the drum pans used to make jerk chicken back in the day, a sort of jerky sound. True or false? False?
Mm-hmm.
You are both correct. The word jerk has Spanish. The word jerk has Spanish origins in the word charqui, meaning dried cure meat.
Okay.
Question 2. I have met white people named Black, and I've met black people named White. Have you ever met, as panelists, met a black person called Black?
Never met one, but I've heard of one.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never met one.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember Pauline Black of select.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
She
That's
is
the
a
only
rarity.
one that springs to mind. Yeah, that's the only one that
She's a
springs to
rarity.
mind.
Whoa. Yeah, tell us a kindred, your mind sharp like razor. You can imagine.
Immediately, yeah.
You can imagine
I'm
that.
struggling to think of another.
Yeah, it's such. But you know that there are white people called black, and you meet a high number of them as you meet black people called white.
That's
So,
a very interesting point, you know.
I tell you. You see?
And she may well have inherited the surname Black from her wife.
Yeah.
Right, because she's
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Inherited, yeah.
So
There you go.
So she may only be half the way there.
Indeed.
You can imagine a black couple, one name white and one name black,
You know?
and they keep a double barrel last name,
Oh gosh.
Mr. and Mrs. Black White. All right. Question 3. Guess the actor playing the main character in this scene.
Omar. Omar coming, yo. Omar coming, yo. Did you hear that? Omar coming. Come on. Get out of here. Omar coming. Put that shit down. I said Omar coming, yo. Somebody is coming now. Come on, let's go.
Y'all need to open this door, man, for a huff and puff. Come on now, by the ears of your chinny chin chin.
Oh, boy, you best roll out. We up in here with the Mac 10.
Oh, I think's not, Terrell. I think's not. Y'all might need to think this through and stop wasting my time. Cause Omar can come back tomorrow. And the next day. And the next day. And I will put a bullet in all y'all behind what happened right now.
Any ideas?
Lawrence Fishburne.
Ooh, no. I want gone straight into the crowd. So the character is Omar from The Wire.
Oh, Idris Abba. Yeah.
No?
Okay.
Yeah.
No? You're gonna kick yourself? No?
Oh.
Oh, is it the brother that recently passed away?
Could be.
Yeah,
Oh,
Mike.
what's his name? Oh.
What's his name?
Oh.
Is his name? No. Is it
Oh.
Mike?
This is terrible. What's his name? Oh.
Is he Williams or?
Oh.
I can see his face,
yes.
you know. Oh.
Yes, brother
Yeah.
and sis got there. Michael K. Williams.
Yeah.
That's it.
So he was a homosexual bad man
Yeah.
in
In the what?
show.
In
In The Wire.
Yeah.
He died accidentally of a drug overdose on the 6th of September.
Yeah, apparently.
So, question number 4. It's going to be an interesting one. Can either of you finish this childhood song? Your lip favor liver and your one lipstick.
Ooh. I know what kind of childhood you had.
Remember that one thing in my house, you know?
You don't remember that one? So you never sing. Your lip favor liver and your one lipstick. Your body favor bun and you want new drawers. Your eye favor tone and you want eyeglass. And you want everything. You never know that song? You don't know that?
No!
Oh my days. You needs to be.
Obviously, I had a misspent youth. Never heard that one.
When that one was playing, I was clearly at prayer meeting.
Yeah,
there.
man,
here.
yeah, man, yeah, man.
Yeah, prayer meeting.
Holier than thou. Describe what chirpsing means.
Chirping.
Yeah, chirpsing.
Chatting out.
Yes, exactly. You see how quick, brother.
When you approach a young lady, I think you meant to say in it, brother.
No, because girls can be too. They can approach a young man. It's chirp.
But it did.
But it's more associated
With men, right?
isn't it? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like buying the drinks.
When you air,
There's a gender bias.
innit? It's that, innit?
Let me tell you.
Oh, dear. I'm sure Sister Ebony would back me up on that one.
Wow.
Yes, she would, I'm sure. Where is Mount Kilimanjaro?
Oh, it's in Kenya.
Tanzania.
Tanzania it is.
Oh, what is trusted and trusted?
But it's only next door, brother.
Of course it is. I'm just so disappointed in myself. I'm just, oh man.
Don't worry yourself, brothers. There's gonna be more quizzes. Don't you worry about that. Right. Final question. What song title would sum up with the word imagination in it? Would sum up some of the things that have been happening? You know, the cult pastor in Jamaica, who some say is not a pastor. The climate change issues, some of the murders that are going on. Sometimes it feels so overwhelming. Which song with the word in imagination may speak to the sense of thinking about all of those things at once?
John Lennon, imagine.
No, but that's a good one. Think Motown.
Just my imagination.
So look,
Exactly, man.
if anybody's watching, this sounded so good to me, I had to let y'all hear it. So I'm gonna turn this camera around. I'm gonna give it to my homeboy. We're gonna hit this.
Beautiful brothers. And we're gonna see you on the other side.
What?
You're such a lucky guy to have a girl like her.
This is ORT.
ORT. This show is sponsored by Sunrise Organic Seamers. Who say can't drink sunshine? ORT. We do it cause we love you.
You got missed calls showing from me and what?
Yeah. I've got missed calls showing from you, but the phone hasn't rang.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem, man. I'm not more than the MI5, man. Then the pause of the show. That's.
Who in Her Majesty's government have you upset today, Kush?
That would get this James Bond. But you know, say you brother S are real black people, you know. I'll know they don't ask about my dog. You know, what is it with
Sorry
us?
to disappoint you there, man. Sorry to
What is it
disappoint
with
you
us?
there.
You know, dogs are personality, is part of the family.
No.
You know, a little bit of an interest.
Oh, dear
Anyway,
me.
I'm still doing my dog research. And what is my latest finding? That if you're a brother and you're looking at a sister and you think, I don't want to go to the club and look no woman, maybe I'll get a dog. Don't bother with it. Sisters and dogs
Really?
are like finding a needle in a haystack. If you want a white woman, yeah, you're going to be overwhelmed, inundated, everywhere. You laugh. But if you say, listen, I want to meet a sister, you're not meeting no sister with no dog. No.
Oh dear, there is nothing. I make you right on that one, Kush.
Yeah, so my research continues.
It is probably not going to enhance a brother's chances, put it that way.
No. It's going to actually decrease it, you know? Significantly. What a shame.
It's good that you've been doing the market research on this, Kush.
Oh yes. I mean,
that's very important information to be putting out there.
There are people who work from home and they want a dog, and they think they're going to meet people and get a dog. Well, you will meet people. Just maybe one particular type of people you're going to meet. So be prepared. So on to today's question, which is, why cannot we be comfortable in our own skin, by Pharrell Williams? Yes.
It's a good one.
Well, there's a presumption here that we're not.
Yeah. Okay. I think you mentioned Frances Cress Welsing earlier, didn't you?
Yeah.
And all roads seem to lead back to her. And she broke this down very well, didn't she?
Looking at why do white people behave in the way that they do. You see, in concluding that it has to do, number one, with their minority status on the planet, their genetic recessive status, in that they could experience genetic annihilation, in that the overwhelming majority of people on the planet are black, brown, red, and yellow, and whites constitute fewer than 1/10 of the people on the planet.
And I don't know if it's so much a discomfort in our skin as I think it's much more of a feeling of being beleaguered about how other people perceive our skin. If that makes sense.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Expand on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yes, I know that there is an element. There's always been an element among us of some people who are very, very attached to the bleaching cream. Okay, that's a particular segment, and it's a minority, as far as I've come across in my own experience. The overwhelming majority of people I know, black people, are not. I wouldn't say that they're uncomfortable in their skin, and I'm certainly not. I think what it is that we carry this awareness that the colour of our skin is problematic for other people. Right. So that makes us aware of how we carry ourselves and conduct ourselves when we're out there in the big wide world amongst other groups of people. When we're amongst ourselves, we are more than happy in our own skin.
Okay.
But it's because of how it's perceived that seems to kind of regulate how we carry ourselves.
Okay.
How we present ourselves to the world. And you mentioned about Judy Love and her hair. And Judy Love is not, she's not a teenager just starting out in life. She's worn her hair naturally for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
She's now been sort of professionally elevated to a higher platform, and now her hair becomes problematic. Her hair has not been problematic up until now for her, but now she's clearly getting some kind of message, no matter how subliminal, but her hair is problematic.
Yeah.
So much so that she's now felt she's had to do something about it.
Ooh. I don't know.
Or maybe I'm making an assumption there that about her that's not correct.
Well, I hear you, sister, but it's a good topic. I think we've gone from feeling comfortable in our own skin to feeling comfortable with our own hair. I don't think they're exclusive. I think they can be talked about in the same breath. But I'm going to defend her a bit. In my experience of the sisters, where they feel it's okay to not just necessarily have to wear their hair natural, although I think there has been a huge European impact on the black women who live here. and I think it should be okay to wear. You want to wear your hat. You want to wear your wig. You want to wear your weave. And from what I've seen of her, she does all of those unapologetically too. And I think that's all right.
But isn't there subversive or insidious undercurrent associated with it? Because Kindred's saying, listen, we have a certain number of people who will bleach their skin. And we know what that means. That's about not looking African or not looking black. And the hair has something to do with that as well. It's just a different form. It's like for example, in I don't know so much about in Africa, but definitely in West Indian countries, you have a sense of who can speak the best English. And again, it's about saying actually who's closer to being white. And that's because had Judy not had an afro before, it would have been the same message, but the fact that she's becoming more popular and becoming more of a public figure, all of a sudden the hair starts to become straight. So I'm just saying, I would think that undercurrent is still very much part of what she's doing. Even though yes, it's fine, it's her right to wear what she wants to wear. I'm just saying it's all part of the same.
It is. There is a kind of culture of experimentation that's always been there when it comes to our hair, but I think there is definitely an element of I mean, it's always been there. But there was I saw an interview with the actress Viola Davis, and she is very, very unapologetic. She's brutally honest in her interviews, which is why I like to watch her. But she talks very openly about the fact that as not just as a black actress, but as a darker skinned black actress, the pressures that have been on her to wear weaves and wigs, as her career kind of soared. And she has had to push back on that and make a point of not wearing the weaves and the wigs. And you'll see a lot of the things that she appears in, her hair is natural, it's short and it's natural. And she is she's bullish about it, and she's saying, yes, she'll wear the wig sometimes if she feels that that's what she wants to do, but she's not going to be dictated to about it. And that's a battle that she's been fighting over a long period of time, but she's now got the status and the platform where she can assert that and and make that stick. But it's been a journey for her, and she's quite open about it. Other actresses have not felt able to fight that battle quite so hard, but she's not wavering, and she's very clear about what that's about.
I take your point. I'm thinking about my own lived experience. In my teens, I had my jerry curl. In my 20s, I had my hair straightened. I had it colored in all numerous colors, right? I think if I'm honest, when I look back at those times when I treated my hair, I was never trying to be white. You couldn't mistake me for trying to be white if you saw me, because I'm dark skinned, and the hair wasn't. The hair was never gonna trick anybody into looking at me and perceiving me as anything other than black. It was just part of the experimentation of being a soul boy, and this was one of the things that we did. But I was unmistakably black throughout all of that. And then when I went back to it being natural, and then the hairline started shifting back, and you cut it lower and lower, and now me a barley, and I'm happy in that also. That still, I've always felt in myself that I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin. I've never tried to. In anything that I did with my hair, it was never to try and give the impression that I was anything other than black.
But people can be influenced to want styles, even though it may not necessarily be seen as well. Because we can culturalize things, You know, when you think about Chuck Berry and people like Little Richard, we can culturalize things, which in essence, it is about trying to be closer to the white model. But by the time we culturalize it, we think it's ours. And when you think of the Black Panther, you know, the rise of the Black Panthers also saw a rise in the Afro. So that kind of, that, you know, that here...
it's big and bold, wasn't it? The bigger the Afro, the better.
Yeah, and it's just acknowledging that there's a power element in most of these things, even though we don't want to get stuck on here or anything. There is a power element involved in it.
I think it's true, and I think that there is experimentation and creativity, you know, as I said, has always been there. But I do think there is this aspect that, especially for the women, probably more so for us and for the men, that the experimentation seems to be about combing your hair into white people's styles. We're not experimenting with 1,001 different ways of braiding, you know, or sort of going back and looking back historically about, oh, they used to do it like this back then, and maybe we can. It is a more of a tendency to be styling it in a European way. Yes, there is braiding and there is, but it's still, the slant is towards straightening, softening, you know, curling, you know, hair straightening in a way that makes the hair appear more European, even if the skin isn't.
Yeah.
Sure.
So listen, there is a thing that's going around, I think more so than in the past, where there seems to be a lack of trust. And when I read the question, why we're not comfortable in our own skin, part of that was how supportive do we feel we are with each other as a community, especially where business is concerned. Because that is something that comes up from time to time, the lack of support. We're not easy in being each other's company. You know, if there's a dance or some kind of gathering on, then there's going to be some kind of violence. And more often than not, when you look at black culture on social media, quite often it's trashy. Especially towards each other. And that's what jumped out to me when I heard the question.
I'll take that point, because I think we have, we all of us could give probably, sadly, too many examples of ventures that we try to do as a community with good intention that fell foul to some kind of insider skirmishes and fallout that imploded. All right, we call it that, yeah? And instead of us using the platforms to elevate ourselves and to lift each other up, far too often, historically, it appears that what happened is that we sabotaged it and pulled each other down. And there lies the mistrust. Right? If somebody comes up again and says, yeah, we're going to do a venture like that, people still remember the last one.
Yeah.
Right? Like, this is all going to end in tears. And you hear this term about, you know, us being almost like a job where people say, I want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Right? And I think there's some good things in terms of the principle of entrepreneurship, where people are trying to say, through one reason or another, we're going to try and do it by ourselves, for ourselves, right? And I dare say, you know, and I would welcome listeners to give us some good examples of when that has been attempted and it's been achieved successfully. But I think we don't get enough of that footage. We don't get enough access to those attempts which are more positive, and therefore the historical views of the attempts that fell short or just bombed out, they remain in place as being the norm. I think we need more success stories so that those can take over these experiences that we've had, where far too often, like I said, generally, I think, with good intention, but it all went to pot. And it just reinforces this idea that we can't do anything positive together.
Exactly.
I agree with that, and I think also it's about lifting the weight of expectation as well, because even those success stories, it is about you cannot be all things to all people, and we lift the bar so high in terms of what the successful ones are meant to achieve, or what they're meant to do for the rest of us with their success, that if they fall short, we're ready to condemn them.
I'm going to give you an example. There aren't many black grocers. And one that I know of, I'm not going to mention which part of the world it is, but it's a liquor store off license. And every time you go past, there's about 10 black men outside, hanging around, talking, drinking, looking at women who's walking past, and just hanging out. And I think to myself, how is that respecting that person's business?
Yeah.
Well, they may believe that they're contributing to the success of the business because, as you said, they're out there drinking. So, you know, they're thinking,
but drink and go away. You know, drink and go ahead. Buy your drink.
But that's not how they do it. If you think about in the Caribbean, when people are liming, right? They're liming. They're saying like, look, we're bigging the place up. I remember another, you know, compounding that example that you gave there. I remember the Caribbean restaurant that I used to go and frequent in Hackney, where sometimes, and this is historical, this is like back in the day, sometimes it was a job just getting into the place to go and see what food they had and getting out safely, because there was a bag of man standing outside there that, to the uninitiated, if anything, it was running people away from attending the business.
Yeah. That's
you understand?
The point. That's the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't look welcoming. Now, you have to read the vibe about whether or not am I going to go in there, because they're even looking at me like I could be food. You understand?
Yes,
so you have to attain a particular posture. You have to stand up straight and make yourself look a bit bigger,
yourself,
and you have to walk. You have to walk with intention, like I'm coming in.
Yeah.
And they could see you, and they might just be, you know, you'd have to acknowledge them, but you never quite knew as you were approaching them whether they were friend or foe.
Yeah.
So you could imagine for some people who are not necessarily speak savvy but want to support the business, and that's what they're met with before they even get in there. That you know, the decision as to whether or not they're going to go in is made up pretty quickly in their mind when they're thinking, I can't be asked.
Yeah.
And that was me as a man. Imagine it's a sister now.
And that's
thinking,
my point.
I just want to go in there and just get my rice and peas and my little curry goat thing. But if they're going to go, hey, baby, hey, I'm not, nah. For the little £6 meal, I'm not, you know, I think I'll go somewhere else.
See, so I think that's an example of our lack of self-discipline. When we're talking about being comfortable in your skin, one of the things that exemplifies that is just calm and this need to get away from what I call the cool-aid lifestyle. You know, you go for quality more than the excitement. And part of this excitement, we bring it so many times in our disorganization to functions and things that we're doing, that we give off a sense of that when we're doing things together, that we don't feel comfortable. Individually and collectively, in significant enough numbers.
that really is about going to the core of what blackness is, isn't it, and what black culture is, because it's been co-opted to mean the Kool-Aid lifestyle is black culture.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that seeks to kind of elevate itself above that is white.
All right.
Or you're not black enough.
Say it again.
You're not black enough. You're not one of us anymore.
Say it
You've
again.
crossed to the other side.
Say it again.
And this is the standard that's been held up to our young people.
Mm-hmm.
And it cuts right across the board in terms of their aspirations. There's a cut-off point, you know, where if you go beyond that cut-off point, you've stepped over to the other side. You're not one of us anymore. You walk the plank.
Go ahead, sister.
No, sorry, you go ahead for that.
I'm just thinking, again, drawing from my own life experience. I take your point, and to reinforce that view that you just said there, I'm thinking about my own situation where I can remember years ago working for local government, and probably, definitely too frequently, that my Caucasian cousins there, the women, how often they would check with me in the type of job that I'm doing if my partner was white.
Interesting.
Not if my partner was black.
Yeah.
But somewhere in them, they felt that if he's doing this type of job, this isn't the norm, in inverted commas, for a black guy, young black guy. So, you know, have you got a girlfriend? And how come you don't have pictures of your girlfriend or your family on your desk? And initially, that used to kind of swim over my head like, yeah, they're just all up in my business, right? Like, just because they have. But over time, that kind of saturates your mind where you think, why do they keep asking me that? Actually, it's not just that they're curious. It's not that they're asking out of concern. It's because they're struggling to put me in a box.
Yeah, you don't fit the mold. Yeah.
He talks like that. You know, he's as cockney as us when he wants to be. Or he might throw his little patois slang there and we all think it's quite cute. But it doesn't fit that kind of mold that we thought he would be. And so we're trying to figure out which box can we put him in. And so I never used to tell them what colour or race my girlfriend was. Just fight them. I'm thinking it's none of your business. Right? But I'm able to look back at that now and think like, wow, that was really important for them to need to put me in a box, when all I was trying to do was find my way. I was on my career path and just, you know, thinking about what trajectory and what path I was going to take. And even more so, I remember at a training day, we were asked, there may have been 20, 25, maybe more people there, right? The facilitator, who happened to be white, male, said to everybody, write down one thing, just one thing about yourself, right? And I wrote down, I am not a stereotype. I didn't know what he was going to do with them. Anyway, we all handed this sheet in. I said, I'm not a stereotype. And he pulled some out and started asking some people, why did you write that? Why did you write that? Why did you write that? And they gave an answer and he moved on, right? Took my white counterpart. They gave an answer, they moved on. I think at that point, no, he hadn't asked a black person. Yeah, he came to me now and he said, so do you want to expand on why you said that? And I said, no. Oh, you don't want to expand? No. Can I ask why you don't want to expand on it? Yeah, because you didn't feed us what your agenda was. But clearly now, it seems like that one you want to make an issue of, when everybody else that you asked, when they gave you a reason why they gave their answer, you didn't have an issue with it. now you're making me feel like I have to justify why I put this thing. So I'm not prepared to do it. And he wouldn't let it go.
Yeah, man.
He was the facilitator. My answer had really nothing to do with the course that we was on. But it troubled me that, wow, you really backslided.
So is that two vignettes of what it's like to be in this white arena that Kindred is talking about, where people feel that they may transition to if they don't keep it street?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Remember, I don't want to be deemed a sellout. I don't want to be perceived as a sellout. But I imagine in my latter role that I've been in for the last 20 years. Oh yeah, I reckon that there's been some brothers and sisters that have been looking at me thinking, look at him. Right? Look at him.
Yeah.
Sellout. Look at him. But it's because I'm thinking, this is my path. I'm choosing my path. I can't go. It's tough enough being black without having to justify what kind of black I am to my brothers and sisters, and then to do that to my white counterparts in the wider community. Nah, I'm not prepared to do that. I'd be exhausted. I'd be exhausted come the night.
Yeah. What do you think about having just a positive outlook, just generally as a black person? How does that affect how you perceive other black people?
Go ahead.
How do you mean, Kush-I? Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the world reflects what's going on for you. The question is, why aren't we comfortable in our own skin? Maybe some of us are just not comfortable with who we are anyway.
I'll tell you, I'll tell you something that occurs to me at the moment. I turn on the television, right, every day, and there is this avalanche of black people coming at me in adverts, left, right, and centre. I have never seen so many black faces on television in adverts. That is not giving me a feel-good factor, right? This is not feeling like a positive step for me. It feels very contrived and very full.
Yeah.
And there's all this talk about sort of lack of black people on TV. What people are normally talking about when they get into the argument is things like Coronation Street and EastEnders. They want to see more faces. The spectrum needs to be broader than that. I see black faces on, Sky News, on CNN.
Bloomberg.
Black people speaking very intelligently about important world events.
Yeah, man.
But people aren't seeing them.
No, okay, well, that's true.
The blackness is measured by whether or not you're on EastEnders or whether or not you're advertising,
in some drama.
Kool-Aid or whatever, So it's so narrow that unless you fit into that, you're not black. Yeah. And to be continually spoon-feeding our children that, I think it's to me less about whether people are comfortable in their own skin, but more about what that skin represents to people. What is that there is a proper way to be black, and anybody who runs counter to that isn't black. And who's defining this? Corporations and people are making money out of the Kool-Aid culture, and we're buying into it. And what we need to do is pull back and show that there is a full spectrum of blackness, and you could be anywhere along it, and it's not that one is more acceptable than the other.
Okay, thank you.
Well said.
Yeah, excellently said. Well, we've got our final 2 or 3 minutes. So any final comments?
Just, I'm very comfortable in my skin. And what I would add is that I am also aware that there's a great envy of my skin as well.
Wow.
Because it don't crack.
Wow.
Every now and again, you have to field these questions from your Caucasian colleagues about what your skincare routine is. How did you do that? And all of that. So there's always this curiosity about the fact that we really seem to struggle to look our age. And it irks.
Jealous, weird.
Yeah.
So black envy.
Yes.
Okay. Then that's for them. For us, we need to focus on black love.
Yes.
And not just black love. I'm talking specific. Not that black love is, again, exclusive. But that's where we start. This idea that, the world is looking at the world through these rose-colored spectacles of we can love everybody. Actually, I don't know that I love everybody. In all honesty, but then I don't hate anybody. Right?
Well said. Yeah.
But in relation to wanting to get on with everybody, that's an aim that I hold dear. I try not to make enemies of people. But if we struggle or if we fail in our pursuit to love our own black people, then the further task of extending that to everybody is a nonsense. Has to come by us towards one another first.
Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good point.
What I would say is remain curious about yourself. That's one of the highest forms of love you can have, which is ongoing curiosity. Takes you down a wide range of avenues, and going down those avenues you can see the beauty in your people, because as Kindred was intimating, our exposure to the media is often controlled by somebody else, and sometimes it takes us a while to find out that we was being tricked. But if you're curious, and you want to go places and meet people and read certain books, certain historical events, it's a good way. It's a good way of holding up a mirror to yourself, and that should. And as for me, from ever since, being the thing that has helped me to want to contribute to my people and to be comfortable in my own skin. So yes, until the next time, walk good.
Bless
brothers.
Okay.
Take care.
Organize, sit down, reason and talk.
Included below are related links to this discussion. Please share, comment, and subscribe. And remember, talk the thing.
This show is sponsored by Sunrise Organic Sea Moss.
ORT is a Glover Media production.